Well, what's going on, guys? Today's video is going to be a great one, and it's going to be in-depth, so grab your popcorn, grab whatever you need so that you can lock in this video, and we're going to be studying the art of seduction, right? I was able to find the copy online, right? And what I was able to do is transfer all of my highlights onto the computer, right? Took me about 30 minutes, so guys, like the video. It's the least that you guys could do. It would help me out a lot. So we're about to get right into it, guys. All right, no fluff. Let's get right into it. Let's go to the page, right? Because I got a couple chapters. I got probably like 3 chapters. This is a big book, right? And I've had it for a long time. For those of you who don't know, The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. Robert Greene is a great author. Listen, he knows his stuff, right? I've had this book for a very long time, but I've never really dived deep into it. And just recently, I started diving deep into it, right? I always read like the first part of the book where it was talking about like the types of seducers, right? There's like different types of seducers. But recently, I've been diving into these, and the book is really good. Like, normally reading all about the history and stuff kind of bores me, but when I really sat there and dove deep into like the history, and I almost felt like I was there in the moment with all these stories, right? So Robert, great author. Okay, let's get right into it. For those of you who want to learn how to be more seductive, right, we're gonna go ahead and read the highlighted passages that I highlighted on my free time reading this, because I believe these were like the ones that really stood out to me, right? We got a lot. We got a whole lot of highlighting going on, right? But I'm gonna break down everything so that you guys get a better, deeper understanding of what all of this means, so that you can apply it to your life. Okay? No more talking. Let's get right into it. So, the first chapter we're gonna be covering: create temptation. Okay? Lure the target deep into your seduction by creating the proper temptation, a glimpse of the pleasures to come, as the serpent tempted Eve with the promise of forbidden knowledge. You must awaken a desire in your targets that they cannot control. Find that weakness of theirs, that fantasy that has yet to be realized, and hint that you can lead them toward it, right? I feel like that would be towards it, right? I don't know. I might be wrong. Dangle the prize before their eyes, postponing satisfaction, and let their minds do the rest. Stimulate a curiosity stronger than the doubts and anxieties that go with it, and they will follow, right? One thing that I get out of this, right? Dangle the prize before their eyes, right? So, one thing that you can do as a man that I talk about on this channel all the time, right, is when you're dating a woman, in order to get her attached, in order to make her fall in love, in order to seduce her, right, what comes easily is not appreciated. Understand that. So when a guy dates a woman for very quickly and immediately, hey, let's get into a relationship. Can you be my girlfriend? Can you be my girlfriend? You're not going to make her as attached as the man who, first of all, vets the woman to make sure that he's dealing with a quality woman. And second of all, the longer you date her, right? Like, I always advise that you date her for at least 6 months, and then you get into a relationship, right? Once she wants it, once she's been thinking about it, and she's fantasized about it, and she's made an image in her head of how good it would be to be your girlfriend, and she's expressed that to you many times, and she's told you, like, listen, what are we? I want to be your girlfriend. I want to be your girlfriend, right? And what do you tell her, right? You dangle the prize before their eyes. What do you tell her? Listen, baby, I just want to get to know you a little better, so I'm not trying to rush into things, right? I'm trying to take this slow so that we can get to know each other on a deeper level, right? And to a certain extent, this is true. You do want to get to know the woman a lot better, right? You don't just want to hop into a relationship, right? Because this is how you end up getting cheated on. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, even if you vet her, right? It can still happen. Can't trust these hoes. But not only does this allow you to get to know her, but also the process of going on multiple dates with you, experiencing how fun it is, right? And adventurous you are and all this, and her making a picture in her mind of how it would be, right? The longer she waits, the more she will fall for you because you're dangling this prize, which is the relationship, before her eyes. She can't wait. And the moment that she gets it, she's going to appreciate it way more than she would if you would have been like, baby, can I be your girlfriend? Can I be your boyfriend? Can I be your boyfriend? Can you be my girlfriend, right? In like 2 weeks? Trust me. Let's get right into it. So basically what this book does is it basically goes into like history, and he basically what he does is he studies a bunch of like history textbooks or whatever, and then he pretty much breaks down the most amazing seducers, right? And then there's the keys to seduction. So keys to seduction, let's go right here. What people want is not temptation. Temptation happens every day. What people want is to give into temptation, to yield. That is the only way to get rid of the tension in their lives. It costs much more to resist temptation than to surrender. Your task then is to create a temptation that is stronger than the daily variety. It has to be focused on them, aimed at them as individuals, at their weakness. Find that childhood insecurity, that lack in their life, and you hold the key to tempting them, right? Their weakness may be greed, vanity, boredom, some deeply repressed desire, a hunger for forbidden fruit, right? Give them a potent temptation tailored to their weakness, and you make the hope of pleasure that you stir in them figure more prominently than the doubts and anxiety that accompany it, right? So what is an example right there? Boredom. Maybe she grew up bored, right? Maybe she grew up and she didn't have much adventure in her life. So what she yearns for is a man who can take her out of that boredom, who can provide some adventure in her life, who can truly invite her into this world that he has created that is full of adventure, full of fun, right? And this is why money helps, right? And I'm not saying that you got to rely on money, right? Because you should be able to be charismatic and adventurous to where you can come up with different ideas, and that alone will get her to be like, wow, this is an adventurous man. But money facilitates this, right? Because let's just say she's bored, right? And what she wants out of a man is a man who provides adventure, right? When you have a lot of money, right, you're able to do many things. You're able to go on this trip. You're able to go here and go there and do this experience and this other new experience. You're able to go to this restaurant and just give her new experiences overall, right? So this is part of the seduction process. I'm not saying simping, but I'm saying providing an experience, right? You should never try to do things that she's already done, right? If she's bored and her weakness is that she wants someone to provide that adventure, you should never take her places she's already been to, right? That's why a chick who's been with hundreds of guys is a lot harder to make that woman attached and fall in love. Why? Because she's already experienced everything. What more can you show her, right? She's experienced the 1-inchers, the 2-inchers, the 12-inchers. She's been to Dubai. She's been here. She's been to this restaurant. She's been bowling. She's been fishing. She's done it all. So what more can you really provide, right? But a chick who hasn't had many experiences, you take her here, you take her there. You have, moments of excitement in her life to where now when she goes home, she thinks about you and she's like, wow, I've never experienced that in my life, right? Okay, so Napoleon's use of temptation had 2 elements. Behind you is a grim past. Ahead of you is a future of wealth and glory if you follow me, right? So what he was talking about here is that Napoleon, he would use words, right? He would use words talking about a grand future, like making you think of this grand future, right? It's something that's just around the corner, but it hasn't happened just yet, right? It's just around the corner. And when people online, for example, a lot of these big gurus and everything, what they do is they sell you this dream that if you follow them, you will be rich, right? They're doing this to you. They're seducing you, because seduction is not just, this book talks about it. Seduction is not just about relationships, right? This book is about learning how to become more seductive in life, in business, right? It doesn't have to be so sexual. So when these gurus, they sell you this dream that if you follow me, you will become super rich, right? They're taking that weakness in your life that you want to be rich, right? And they're giving you this little, they're dangling the prize in front of your face, right? They're creating that desire for you to be like, wow, if I do this, I'm going to be rich. So I should do it, right? So, for example, a future that's ahead of you as opposed to a past, right? Let's just say, for example, right, you approach a woman and you say like, listen, we're let me get your number, right, so that we can set the wedding date, so that when we get married and have kids, right, you're flirting, you're like joking in a way, but you're hinting to a future. You're hinting to this thing that hasn't happened right now, but it can happen in the future, right? And it's the same thing when you're dating a woman. What did I say earlier? Taking your time when you're dating her and letting her know that you guys might be able to have a relationship, right? If she treats you well enough, if she passed all the tests, there might just be an amazing relationship, right? The present offers little hope. The future can be full of pleasure and excitement, right? Because the future, it's unknown. We don't know what's yet to come, right? So when you seduce a woman, this is why seduction is not about looks, money, and status. Sure, these things help, but seduction is a mind game. It's a mental game, right? So looks, money, status, that's like surface level shit. Everyone who talks about looks, money, status, they're not even scratching how deep the game goes, right? They're just on the surface of how deep this shit gets. Remember to keep the future gains vague, though, and somewhat out of reach. Be too specific and you will disappoint. Make the promise too close at hand and you will not be able to postpone satisfaction long enough to get what you want, right? Being too specific. Listen, on this day, we're going to get into a relationship. Or for example, one day we're going to experience this and it's going to be the best thing in the world, right? Not too specific, but you're creating this illusion almost, right? And I'm not saying it has to be an illusion, but you're almost creating this illusion in her mind, right? Once again, the gurus, what do they tell you? If you follow me, you will be rich. They don't tell you exactly how. They're not too detailed. They're kind of vague, because what you make up in your head is more important than what they say or the truth, right? That's what seduction is about, what you make up in your head. This is why you got to give a woman space to fall for you, right? Got to give a woman space to think about you, not be on her all the time. Because if you're on her all the time, that's reality. When you're apart from her, her mind creates whatever she wants to see. The relationship was never consummated, but what deliciousness those barriers gave to their encounters, which were full of constant flirtation. Search in their past. Whatever they seem to fear or flee from might hold the key. Someone they are not supposed to have, the dark side of their personality. Keep the connection vague. You want them to reach for something elusive, something that comes out of their own mind, right? This is why women go for the bad boy, right? Supposedly, they're supposed to have the nice guy. They shouldn't go for the guy who is manipulative or is a liar or is a ladies' man, right? But they still do it. Why? Because this is something that they shouldn't have. But deep down inside, we want things that we can't have, right? She told him straight out, right? This is a story about how she made Casanova fall in love. She told him straight out that he would fall for her and she would ruin him. To everyone's disbelief, Casanova pursued her In each encounter, she hinted she might give in. Perhaps the next time, right? She's telling him a dream. She's making him think. She's giving him just enough. And this is how you guys get caught up in these webs with women, right? Because they know what they're doing. They give you just enough attention to where you feel as though, I think she likes me. But then they play that hot and cold game to where now you can't really figure it out. But she gives you just enough so you feel like it's a possibility. So you stick around. You get more involved. You get more enveloped in their web, right? Perhaps the next time, if he was nice to her, right? If he was nice to her. Same thing with you guys. Listen, she gives you just enough attention. She makes you think that if you take her on just enough dates, if you buy her just enough gifts, you're going to get what? Sex. Because in your mind, when you think with your dick, you're thinking about, I need to get sex. I need to get sex. And in your mind, you're creating this mental picture. And this is how women can control you, right? She inflamed his curiosity. What pleasure she would yield. He would be the first. He would tame her. The venom of desire penetrated my whole being so completely. And this is why women go for the guy who's a ladies' man, right? Because they like the fact that he has so many options. And she wants to be the first one to be able to tame her. To be able to tame him. Okay. Casanova's primary weakness was his need for conquest, to overcome challenge, to taste what no other man had tasted. Beneath this was a kind of masochism, a pleasure in the pain a woman could give him, playing the impossible woman, enticing and then frustrating him. She offered the ultimate temptation. What will often do the trick is to give the target that sense that you are a challenge, a prize to be won, right? Making a woman wait for the relationship. Letting her know, listen, I got to get to know you better, right? In her mind, she's thinking, okay, so this guy definitely has other options. Okay, so what's the problem with me? Does he not like me? Does he not find me attractive? What's going on, right? It's a challenge. And then on top of that, you're focused on yourself. So all your focus doesn't go to her. You're constantly working on yourself. You're constantly focused on you when other guys are so easily available. They're always hitting her up. They're always ready to link up. They'll text her as soon as she texts him, right? Because they have nothing else to do. They're not a challenge. And this is why the nice guy doesn't win, right? Because the bad boy, right? That motherfucker has options. That motherfucker's worried about himself. He's not so quick to respond to a woman. So in her mind, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. I need to be able to lock this man down. Let's see. David arose from his couch. In the Old Testament, we read that David arose from his couch and was walking upon the roof of the king's house. He saw from the roof a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. The woman was Bathsheba. I don't know how to say that. Bathsheba. David summoned her, seduced her, supposedly, then proceeded to get rid of her husband. I think he killed the guy, right? Uriah in battle. He sent him to battle. In fact, however, it was Bathsheba who had seduced David, right? In his mind, he thought he seduced her, but in reality, she seduced him. She bathed on her roof at an hour when she knew he would be standing on his balcony. After tempting a man she knew had a weakness for women, she played the coquette, forcing him to come after her. And once again, what did it talk about, right? Go after their weakness. So she knew this man had a weakness for women. She knew this man thought with his dick. So what did she do, right? She went to the bath at a time where she knew he'd be watching. And she, bathed herself, acting as if this was unplanned. But the whole time she's strategizing on how she's going to seduce him. The whole time she's creating this plan and the other guy doesn't even know, right? That's the thing about manipulation. When the best manipulations is when someone doesn't even know it's going on, right? So that's why you guys have to be very perceptive and be aware of what's going on at all times. Always observe the room. Always observe, why is this person doing it? What is their motive behind it? What is this woman trying to accomplish, right? With her every move. Because otherwise, you don't even know what's going on, right? So, she bathed on a roof. After tempting a man she knew had a weakness for women, she played the coquette. This is the opportunity strategy. Give someone weak the chance to have what they lust after by merely placing yourself within their reach, as if by accident. And women do this all the time, right? You're at the gym, and what do? They pop up next to you. They start doing a random workout. You go to this other machine, she's there too. She asks you a random question, right? She's placing herself as if it's by accident, but in reality, she wants you to make the approach. She wants you to talk to her. Temptation is often a matter of timing, of crossing the path of the weak at the right moment, giving them the opportunity to surrender. And this is why, as a man, when you're attractive, when you're handsome, when you have game, and you approach a woman, right? I always say, don't approach women from behind, right? Position yourself to where you're in front of her, right? So you guys cross paths, and then you make your approach, and then you talk to her. And it's almost like it was fate, right? A lot of guys will chase a woman from behind. No, position yourself to be in front, okay? Bathsheba used her entire body as a lure, but it is often more effective to use only a part of the body. Women do this all the time. Social media, out in public. What do? They show their cleavage. They wear little booty shorts to where you see just enough ass and you see just enough titties, right? Just enough cleavage. They show their belly button piercing. They go to the beach. They wear these small little bathing suits, making the man see what he wants to see, but not everything, right? This is how women get you to go on OnlyFans. All you simps paying for OnlyFans, paying these women $4 million a month, guess what? She's showing you just enough on social media. And this is why when you have a weak mind and you think with your dick, you have no dick discipline, you're so thirsty for it. You're thirsty. Why? Because a woman can show you just a little bit and your mind will want to see the rest. You want to see the rest. Creating a fetish-like effect. Madame what? Recamier would let you glimpse her body beneath the sheer dress she wore, basically like a see-through dress, but only briefly when she took off her overgarment to dance. Men would leave that evening dreaming of what little they had seen, right? They saw just a little bit and their mind made up the rest. They were thinking about, damn, I bet she would look so good. Yeah, you know what I mean? Empress Josephine made a point of baring her beautiful arms in public. Give the target only a part of you to fantasize about, thereby creating a constant temptation in their mind. That's why, as a man, if you're in shape, you gotta show a little bit of skin, right? Show a little bit of skin. The apple in the Garden of Eden, the fruit looks deeply inviting, and you are not supposed to eat it. It is forbidden. But that is precisely why you think of it day and night. You see it but cannot have it. And the only way to get rid of this temptation is to yield and taste the fruit, to give in. Give into it, right? The reverse of temptation is security or satisfaction, and both are fatal to seduction. If you cannot tempt someone out of their habitual comfort, you cannot seduce them. When you're boring, when you're super predictable, right? You're giving her security. When you're this guy who tells her all your feelings, everything. Baby, I'm so deeply, deeply in love with you, and I love you every day, and I would never stop loving you, and for the rest of my life, I'm going to love you. She has you figured out. She knows. She knows you're always going to be there, right? Security. As opposed to the man who tells her these things here and there, right? Sparsely. She'll value it more, first of all. And second of all, she doesn't have you figured out, right? Because there's times when you tell her you love her, and then there's other times when you don't say anything. So in her mind, those times she's thinking, does he not love me? Does he not care about me? If you're focused on yourself, you're not constantly texting her. There's days where you text her. There's days where you're more busy, right? This is something that guys do as a strategy, but you should actually do something with your life and be busy. And this is why when you are busy, guess what? There's gonna be days where you don't constantly text her, as opposed to the simp who's texting her every single day, nonstop. She knows exactly when he's gonna text. She knows exactly he's gonna say good morning and good night and everything on the dot. Guess what? She has you figured out. You're giving too much security, as opposed to the guy who she's thinking about. Why hasn't he texted me? Why is he taking so long to text? You know, why hasn't he told me he loves me? Does he not care about me? Is he thinking about other women? Right? This is constantly making her mind, making it turn. You know, making her become more in love, more attached to you because of the fact that you can't get off her mind. When you provide too much security, guess what? She has you figured out, so she doesn't think about you. You don't think about things that you have figured out. You think about things that you don't have figured out. If I tell you 1 + 1 is what? You're going to say 2. But if you don't know the answer to that, you're constantly going to be thinking about it. You're going to be like, what is 1 + 1? I can't figure this problem out. You're going to be trying to study, trying to look up ways to figure out this answer. You're trying to figure it out actively, so it requires more mental effort. So you're going to be thinking about it more, as opposed to, oh yeah, 1 + 1 is 2. You don't think about that. You go on about your day, right? Phase 2, lead astray, creating pleasure and confusion. The goal in this phase is to lead your victims. I don't really like that word. I don't know why he uses the word victims, but we'll go with it, right? Let's just say the women that you're after, right? The goal in this phase is to lead your victims so far astray. Wait a second. Let me go ahead and read before to give it some context. Your victims are sufficiently intrigued and their desire for you is growing, but their attachment is weak, and at any moment they could decide to turn back. The goal in this phase is to lead your victims so far astray, keeping them emotional and confused, giving them pleasure, but making them want more. That retreat is no longer possible. Springing on them a pleasant surprise will make them see you as delightfully unpredictable, but will also keep them off balance. Keep them in suspense, right? The artful use of soft and pleasant words will intoxicate them and stimulate fantasies, right? You need to maintain some mystery. The greatest danger in this phase is the mere hint of routine or familiarity. What did I just tell you guys? When you're so constantly predictable, it's dangerous to the seduction. You need to maintain some mystery, to keep a little distance, so that in your absence, your victims become obsessed with you, right? If you're dating a woman and you guys had a great date, and then you text her Monday, Tuesday, but then Wednesday and Thursday, you don't reach out. She's like, what's going on? What's going on? Is he on a date with another woman, right? You're not as predictable as opposed to you text her Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You don't miss a day. You're too predictable. It's given too much routine. They may realize they are falling for you, but they must never suspect how much of this has come from your manipulations. A well-timed display of your weakness, of how emotional you have become under their influence, will help cover your tracks. This is what they call love bombing, right? When you love bomb a woman, right? She's like, oh wow, this guy's falling deeply in love with me. I gotta like that. Next, keep them in suspense. What comes next? The moment people feel they know what to expect from you, your spell on them is broken. More, you have ceded them power. The only way to lead the seduced along and keep the upper hand is to create suspense, a calculated surprise. People love a mystery, and this is the key to luring them further into your web, behaving in a way that leaves them wondering, what are you up to? Doing something they do not expect from you will give them a delightful sense of spontaneity. Spontaneity. I don't know if I'm saying that right. They will not be able to foresee what comes next. You are always one step ahead and in control. Give the victim a thrill with a sudden change of direction. The first care of any dandy is to never do what one expects them to do, to always go beyond. The unexpected can be nothing more than a gesture, but a gesture that is totally uncommon. Let's just say you never compliment her, right? Let's just say you never validate her. You never tell her all these things that she wants to hear, right? You're providing a challenge. But then one day you tell her, wow, you look so good today, right? You're doing something out of the norm. It's just a gesture, right? It's a gesture that's just not common, right? You've never complimented her before. She's always wanted that. She's always wanted that validation. She's always wanted that compliment from you, but you've never done it. And now suddenly you do it, right? It's that gesture that's not common. Attracting attention is not the only goal of a dandy. He wants to hold it by unexpected, even ridiculous means. He arrived, okay. So Casanova began to kiss her. She resisted, but only slightly, and then pulled back. After supper, a bell rang, her signal to hurry back to the Covenant or she would be caught. Is this the one where this was? Yeah, this is the one with some fucking thought. Fuck that dumbass thought, bro. You can't trust these hoes for real. Let's go from the beginning, right? Because I want you guys to hear how this woman who was married was so much of a thought. You can't trust these hoes. You can't trust them at all. None of them. Okay, so 28-year-old Giovanni Casanova met a young girl named Caterina with whom he fell in love. Her father knew what kind of man Casanova was, and to prevent some mishap before he could marry her off, he sent her away to the convent on the Venetian island of Murano, where she was to remain for 4 years. Casanova, however, was not one to be daunted. He smuggled letters to Caterina. He began to attend mass at the convent. Wait, is this? Let me see. Hold on 1 second. I don't know if this is the one that I'm thinking about. Casanova was most intrigued. Blah 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 blah. Perhaps she needed a favor. I don't think this is the one. I might be confusing it. Let's go back. So, anyways, Casanova began to kiss her. She resisted, but only slightly, and then pulled back. After supper, a bell rang. Her signal to hurry back to the convent. Oh, this is a different one. This is the one where she was doing little different things, right? She was keeping him in suspense by doing little different things here and there. One time she dressed like a man, right? I don't know how that turned him on, but somehow it did, right? That man was Diddy reincarnated. After supper, a bell rang. Her signal to hurry back to the convent, or she would be caught. She changed back into her habit and left. At the appointed time and place, Casanova saw a man, major pause, approach him. The man circled behind him, then came up close. It was Mathilde, right? It was her, wearing a mask and men's clothes. What a devilish nun. She laughed at the fright she had given him, right? He was scared. He thought some guy was about to attack him. And then when he notices her, he kind of got turned on. He was like, hey, yo, I didn't know she had a schlong. A few days later, he received a letter from her in which she made a confession. During one of their more passionate trysts at the villa, her lover had hidden in a closet, watching the whole thing. Hey, yo, Mr. Cuckold, is that you? Adam 22? Sneeko? The lover, she told him, was the French ambassador to Venice, and Casanova had impressed him. Casanova was not to be fooled with like this. Yet the next day he was back at the convent submissively arranging another tryst. Right, he was falling for her. Why? Because she was going here and there. He didn't know what would come next. Casanova was angry at the trick Mathilde played at him, but a few days later when he saw her again, all was forgiven. As she had predicted during their first interview, her power over him was complete. He had become her slave, addicted to her whims and to the dangerous pleasures she offered. This is why when you fuck a woman right, when you're not so predictable all the time, when you give her a great experience, when you provide her with experiences that she's never experienced before, when you're a man who demands respect, you check her on certain things, right? You have her so mentally attached to you, right? She's addicted to the dangerous pleasures that you offer. Even though you're unpredictable, she can't seem to get away. She can't seem to, even if she's mad at you, even if she gets upset, even if she breaks up with you, she always comes back. Why? Because she can't get enough. Casanova was almost always in control in his seductions. He was the one who led, right? Taking his victims on a trip to an unknown destination, luring her into his web. In all his memoirs, the story of Mathilde is the only seduction in which the tables are happily turned. He is the seduced, the bewildered victim. He was naturally the guy who would catch them all, right? He was naturally the guy who would seduce the women. But in this case, he was the one that was seduced. Why? Because all the other women, most likely, they were very predictable. He didn't have a chance to be seduced. Why? Because he knew their every move. But with this woman, she was so unpredictable. She did so many little different things that he had never experienced before. And he never knew what would come next. So that had his mind thinking, right? This wasn't just any other woman. This is not just like any other woman where he seduced them and he forgot about them because he had them figured out. He couldn't figure this woman out. So that's what made him seduced. What made Casanova Mathilde's slave was the same tactic he had used on countless girls. The irresistible lure of being led by another person. The thrill. She was leading him in this interaction. When you lead a woman, she's seduced by you. But when she leads you, you're being seduced by her. The thrill of being surprised. The power of mystery. Each time he left Mathilde, his head was spinning with questions, right? And on the topic of leading and mystery, right? When you plan the dates, when you're dating a woman, right? When you plan the dates, you're leading her. And then on top of that, if you don't even tell her where you guys are going, she just shows up. She knows she shows up, looks pretty. You lead the date. You take her to some place, right? You take her to some new restaurant that you didn't even tell her you were going to, and then after that you guys go bowling, or then after that you guys go to some kayaking place, or then after that you guys go to some art place, or after you go to an arcade, right? You never tell her what's going on. So every day she thinks about you and she doesn't know what's going to happen, but she knows you're going to lead the date and she knows something new is going to happen, right? This is how you get a woman seduced. Eventually, if you're in a relationship, of course, you still have to keep the seduction process up. But eventually, right, you can kind of chill out a little bit. But always keep your edge, right? Don't just completely be like, all right, I'm done. I'm out of the game, right? But when you're first meeting a woman, you really have to be able to do all of this to make sure the seduction is complete. Each time he left Mathilde, his head was spinning with questions. He couldn't stop thinking about her. Her ability to go on surprising him kept her always in his mind, deepening her spell and blotting Katerina out. Each surprise was carefully calculated for the effect it would produce. The first unexpected letter piqued his curiosity, as did the first sight of her in the waiting room. Suddenly seeing her dressed as an elegant woman stirred intense desire. Then seeing her dressed as a man, intensified the excitingly transgressive nature of their liaison. The surprises put him off balance, yet left him quivered with anticipation. With anticipation of the next one. See, he was like, I wonder what's going to happen next, because he didn't know what's going to happen next, right? That's why you shouldn't tell a woman, hey, we're going here and here and here. Hey, we're going, or hey, even worst of all, where do you want to go? Where are we going today, right? No, you lead. And every time she comes over, make sure you provide a great experience, right? One day, fuck her in this position. The next day, fuck her in a different position. The next day, fuck her out in a fucking river, right? Every single time, it's something different. It's something new. One day you use this toy. The next day you use another toy, right? One day you go here. One day you go there. One day you eat here. One day you eat there, right? It can't be so fucking boring, guys. Can't be too boring. The first letter, seeing, okay, blah, blah, blah. The surprises put him off balance. Even an unpleasant surprise, such as the encounter with Katerina that Mathilde had set up, kept him emotional and weak. Meeting the somewhat bland Katerina at that moment only made him long that much more for Mathilde, right? She set him up with another woman. And he was like, I'm fucking tired of this bitch, bro. I want my main bitch back. In seduction, you need to create constant tension and suspense, a feeling that with you, nothing is predictable. Do you think of this as a painful challenge? Do not think of this as a painful challenge. You are creating drama in real life. That's why women watch all these drama shows, right? Sex and the City. Why? Because it's drama. They want to see, oh shit, she was dating that guy? And he cheated on her? And then she cheated on him? And then this happened? Right? It's just drama. They want to be involved with their emotions. They want their minds to be stimulated. So you have to provide it. If you don't provide it, someone else will. You are creating drama in real life. So pour your creative energies into it. Have some fun. There are all kinds of calculated surprises you can spring on your victims. Pause. I don't know about that victim word, bro. Sending a letter from out of the blue, showing up unexpectedly, taking them to a place they have never been. But best of all are surprises that reveal something new about your character, right? This is why I tell you guys, don't only go to a restaurant. First date, don't go to a movie theater. Because each time she should find something new out about your character, right? If you guys go painting, she knows you're artistic. If you guys go to a music store and you talk to her about how you know so much about music and the history of music, she's learning new things about you. She's like, oh, wow, I didn't know this guy could do this. You guys go mini golfing and somehow you're the best golfer and she didn't know that about you, right? She's seeing new sides of your characters. Some places you might be more serious. In other places you might be a little more upbeat and kind of, exciting, right? She has to constantly be learning new things about you, right? Not figuring you out, but learning new things about you. She can't have you all the way figured out. Okay. You know that this is, perhaps they see you as a bit shy, practical. You know that this is not the real you, but it is how you act in social situations. Let them, however, have these impressions and in fact accentuate them a little without overacting. For instance, seem a little more reserved than usual. Now you have room to suddenly surprise them with some bold or poetic or naughty act. Once they have changed their minds about you, surprise them again. As Mathilde did with Casanova, first a nun who wants an affair, then a libertine, then a seductress with a sadistic streak. As they strain to figure you out, they will be thinking about you all the time and will want to know more about you. Their curiosity will lead them further into your web until it is too late for them to turn back. This is always the law for the interesting. If one just knows how to surprise, one always wins the game. The energy of the person involved is temporarily suspended. One makes it impossible for her to act. Keys to seduction. A child is a willful, stubborn creature who will deliberately do the opposite of what we ask. But there is one scenario in which children will happily give up their usual willfulness when they are promised a surprise. Listen, we're going to Disneyland. Oh yeah, let's do it, right? Listen, clean your room. Hell no, that motherfucker ain't cleaning his room, right? But when your parents tell you, we're going to Disneyland, guess what? You're you wake up at the time you gotta wake up, you're following instructions, you're doing everything right. because there's a surprise. You don't know what's gonna happen, right? Or like a Christmas gift, right? Oh, if you act right, you're gonna get a Christmas gift. What's the Christmas gift? I don't know. But you're gonna get a gift only if you act right. That's when they follow orders, right? That's when you suddenly are on your best behavior, when there's a surprise involved. This childish bait. Wait, hold on. Perhaps it is a present hidden in a box, a game with an unforeseeable ending, a journey with an unknown destination, a suspenseful story with a surprise finish. In those moments when children are waiting for a surprise, their willpower is suspended. They are in your thrall for as long as you dangle possibility before them. This childish habit is buried deep within us and is the source of an elemental human pleasure. Being led by a person who knows where they are going and who takes us on that journey. Once again, drawing back to my earlier point, when I said you lead, you plan the dates. You don't tell her where you guys are going. She asks, where are we going? You'll see. Don't worry about it. You'll see when we get there, right? Let her know just like that. Oh, where are we going today? You'll see. Just make sure you look pretty, right? She texts you. So, where are we going today? Just make sure you show up and look pretty, and I'll take care of the rest, baby girl. Don't worry about it. Simple, right? In her mind, she's like, damn, I wonder where we're going, right? She's thinking about it. We stay in our seats. We turn the pages happily. Wait, when we get a similar thrill, right? Because I highlighted this, but some of these kind of, to me, make sense, but to the viewer might not make too much sense if there's not the full sentence. We get a similar thrill when we watch a movie or read a thriller. We are in the heads of a director or author who is leading us along, taking us through twists and turns. We stay in our seats. We turn the pages, happily enslaved by the suspense. It is the pleasure of a woman who is being led by a confident dancer, letting go of any defensiveness she may feel and letting another person do the work. Falling in love involves anticipation, and we are about to head off in a new direction, enter a new life where everything will be strange. The seduced wants to be led, to be carried along like a child. If you are predictable, the charm wears off. Everyday life is predictable. That's right. Every day. You know, well, I got to go to my 9 to 5 and I got to clock in at 8. I'm going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to have Saturday and Sunday off. And you do this every day, right? Life is so predictable. When I wake up, I'm going to wake up at this time and I'm going to eat this food and I'm going to go to sleep at this time and I'm going to scroll on TikTok and I'm going to watch this movie and I'm going to watch this show, right? It's so predictable. So you need to be able to provide that bit of excitement. That's why you shouldn't be texting women, what are you doing? How's your day? Right? It's so boring. It doesn't provide any excitement. Her life is already boring as is. Without a feeling of anticipation, your seduction will die. Your targets must never know what's coming next, what surprises you have in store for them. They will be under your control for as long as you keep them guessing. He would not tell them where they were going, right? So this guy, Casanova, met a young lady, Italian countess named Clementia, who lived with her 2 sisters in Chateau. Clementia loved to read and had little interest in the men who swarmed around her. Casanova added himself to their number, buying her books, engaging her in literary discussions, but she was no less indifferent to him than she had been to them. Then one day he invited the entire family on a little trip. He would not tell them where they were going, adding that mystery, curiosity, right? Dangling it in front of them. Pause. They piled into the carriage, all the way trying to guess their destination. She's trying to figure it out. A few hours later, they entered Milan. What joy! The sisters had never been there. Casanova led them to this apartment where 3 dresses had been laid out. He already had everything planned out, right? They didn't have to do anything but show up. He was taking them somewhere. He's leading the day. He knows where he's going. He already has the dresses laid out. The most magnificent dresses that the girls had ever seen. They'd never seen something like this before, right? It was a new experience. And all they had to do was just lay back and let him do the rest, right? He took care of everything. That's why women want a man who's experienced in the bedroom. So if you need help one-on-one on how to be able to escalate things with a woman, guess what? Hit me up at Optimal Man Coaching on Instagram. I respond to all my DMs, and I'm constantly helping out guys who need help, okay? So for example, right? This is why women like when a man, first of all, approaches them. He's leading. He's taking her on an adventure. She never found out about him. She didn't know who this man is, but he's leading her somewhere. He comes up to her. He introduces himself. He shows that, listen, I want to take you on a date, right? Or I want to take you out and get to know you. Guess what? He's leading her somewhere. This is a new adventure. She doesn't know what's going to happen. This might be a new chapter in life. And this man clearly knows what he's doing because he was confident enough to approach me, and he's trying to lead me in a direction. So women like that. And second of all, being able to seduce her not only and be able to escalate on the date towards sex. Women like that. Why? Because she has never had sex with you. And she likes the confidence. She likes that you're leading her somewhere. She likes that you know what you're doing, and she can tell that you're leading her somewhere. Somewhere that maybe is naughty. Maybe she shouldn't do this. But you're leading her somewhere. And the temptation causes her to give in. By the way, guys, if you guys are still watching this video, like the video. Leave a comment down below. I'm about to do a part 2 if you guys like it. If you guys like this video and want a part 2 and you're watching right now, comment part 2. Okay, if you comment part 2, I'll go ahead and make another one. So, there was one for each of the sisters. He told them the green one was for Clementia. Stunned, she put it on and her face lit up. The surprises did not stop. There was a delicious meal, champagne games. By the time they returned to the chateau late in the evening, Clementia had fallen. I'm reading it wrong this whole time. Clementina had fallen hopelessly in love with Casanova. The reason was simple. Surprise creates a moment when people's defenses come down and new emotions can rush in. If the surprise is pleasurable, the seductive poison enters their veins without their realizing it. Any sudden event has a similar effect, striking directly at our emotions before we get defensive. Rakes know this power well. A young married woman in the court. Oh, here we go. This is the fucking thought I was talking about, bro. This is a lesson right here. They've been doing this shit since the fucking 18th century, bro. These hoes are not to be trusted all the way back, right? Adam and Eve, the very first woman, right? Next, 18th century, right here. This woman was married. And this man who, right here, as you can see, no woman was safe from this man. He was impossible to resist. This hoe cheated on her husband. See? What do I tell you guys? You can't fall in love. When you fall in love, you're thinking emotionally. They've been doing it back in the days, right? Back in the days. So, a young woman in the court of Louis whatever XV, I don't know, I can't read Roman numerals. In 18th century France, noticed a handsome young courtier watching her. First at the opera, then in church, making inquiries. She found it was Duc de Richelieu. I gotta study that guy because that guy clearly has some game. The most notorious rake in France. No woman was safe from this man. She was warned. He was impossible to resist, and she should avoid him at all costs. Nonsense, she replied. I'm not that type of girl. I would never do that. He can't get me. I'm not that type of girl. I'm not easy, right? That's what she said. But look at her, bouncing on that cock, right? Bouncing on that meat afterwards. Okay. He could not possibly seduce her, right? No, never. Seeing him again, she laughed at his persistence. He would disguise himself as a beggar and approach her in the park. Or his coach would suddenly come alongside hers. He was never aggressive. he seemed harmless enough. She let him talk to her at court. He was charming and witty, and even asked to meet her husband. No male friends, bitch. You don't like it? You can go, right? This motherfucker's out here trying to meet the husband. Oh yeah, I can meet your husband, right? Whole time he's trying to clap. The weeks passed, and the woman realized she had made a mistake. Oh boy, here we go. She looked forward to seeing the Marquis, or whatever you call it, Marquise. She looked forward to seeing him. First, what was it? I'm not that type of woman. Now she's thinking about him. And this is why women develop emotional attachments, right? When a woman cheats on you, guess what? She's developed an emotional attachment to that man. She couldn't wait to see him the very next day. She had let down her guard. This had to stop. Now she started avoiding him. And he seemed to respect her feelings. He stopped bothering her. Then one day, weeks later, she was at the country manor of a friend when the Marquise suddenly appeared. She blushed, trembled, walked away, but his unexpected appearance had caught her unawares. It had pushed her over the edge. That bitch was soaking wet. He had pushed her over the edge. A few days later, she became another of Richelieu's victims. Oh boy, he added her to the collection. What that boy Future say? If I ever hit you one, you part of my collection. If I even hit you one, you part of my collection, right? Something like that. That's what this man just said right here. He just said, got him. Just knock this hoe down, right? Can't trust these bitches, bro. Can't trust any of them. No bitches, okay? They're not to be trusted. You see this? 18th century. These bitches were back there wearing these fucking long-ass dresses. Motherfuckers were dancing like this and doing all this fucking, opera shit. And these hoes was still out there sucking dick. Of course, he had set the whole thing up, right? Including the supposed surprise encounter. He was making it seem as if it was just an accident. It was just fate. But in reality, he was strategizing. And this is how you have to be. You constantly have to strategize in your mind to how you're going to do things. So many guys do things aimlessly with no purpose behind their actions. Every single thing, every single little comment, every flirtatious comment you might say should have like a second meaning to it, right? That's how you flirt. You say things in a way to where it comes out as if it's natural, but in reality, you're saying it with a purpose, with a meaning, right? Okay, not only does suddenness create a seductive jolt, it conceals manipulations, right? Because it was so sudden, she wasn't expecting him, she was avoiding him for a while, and here he was, he popped up, and she was trying to avoid him because she didn't want to give in. And she was like, fuck, if I see him again, I'm going to have to give in. And the fact that he did it so sudden, it doesn't seem planned because she couldn't see it coming. When someone does something so sudden and you don't see it coming, you can't tell that there's manipulation behind it. Appear somewhere unexpectedly. Say or do something sudden, and people will not have time to figure out that your move was calculated. Take them to some new place as if it only just occurred to you. Suddenly reveal some secret. Made emotionally vulnerable, they will be too bewildered to see through you. Anything that happens suddenly seems natural, and anything that seems natural has a seductive charm. And this is why I tell you guys, when you approach a woman, go. Don't sit there and think about it. Because when you sit there and you're like, and she sees you for like 5 minutes trying to build up that courage, guess what? It's not as seductive. As opposed to you see her, boom, happen natural. She was like, whoa, that's seductive Joel, right? Whoa, where did this come from? Where did this come from? She left Paris. Oh. Let's see what this dumbass hoe was doing. Okay, so Only months after arriving in Paris in 1926, Josephine Baker had completely charmed and seduced the French public with her wild dancing. But less than a year later, she could feel. Oh wait, is this? I guess this is another woman. Since childhood, she had hated feeling out of control of her life. Why be at the mercy of the fickle public? She had left Paris and returned a year later. Her manner completely altered. Now she played the part of an elegant French woman who happened to be an ingenuous dancer and performer. The French fell in love again. The power was back on her side. If you are in the public eye, you must learn from this trick of surprise. People are bored, not only with their own lives, but with people who are meant to keep them from being bored. The minute they feel they can predict your next step, they will eat you alive. The artist Andy Warhol kept moving from incarnation to incarnation, and no one could predict the next one. Artist, filmmaker, society man, always keep a surprise up your sleeve. To keep the public's attention, keep them guessing. Let the moralist accuse you of insincerity, of having no core or center. They are actually jealous of the freedom and playfulness you reveal in your public persona. Finally, you might think it wiser to present yourself as someone reliable, not given to caprice. If so, you are in fact merely timid. It takes courage and effort to mount a seduction. Reliability is fine for drawing people in, but stay reliable and you stay a bore. Dogs are reliable. A seducer is not. If, on the other hand, you prefer to improvise, imagining that any kind of planning or calculation is antithetical to the spirit of surprise, you are making a grave mistake. Constant improvisation simply means you are lazy and thinking only about yourself. What often seduces a person is the feeling that you have expended effort on their behalf. You do not need to trumpet this too loudly, but make it clear in the gifts you make, the little journeys you plan, the little teases, right? What did he say? Do not trumpet it too loudly, right? You don't have to tell a woman all these things. You can, but you don't have to tell her all this, right? This can all be implied through the gifts, the planning of the day, right? The little teases that you lure people with. Little efforts like these will be more than amply rewarded by the conquest of the heart and willpower of the seduced. Reversal. Before we go to that's the last one. So reversal, surprise can be unsurprising if you keep doing the same thing again and again, right? Like if you're trying to be unpredictable, but the unpredictable move that you do is always the same. It's always the same move, always the same move. Eventually, she'll start to catch on, and she'll be like, well, I got him figured out. So you constantly have to be moving. She can't know your next move. At first, he was captivated, right? Would try to surprise her husband with the sudden changes of mood from harshness to kindness and back. At first, he was captivated. He loved the feeling of never knowing what was coming. But it went on for years and was always the same. Soon Madame Mao's supposedly unpredictable mood swings just annoyed him. You need to vary the method of your surprises. When Madame was the lover of the inveterately bored King Louis, she made each surprise different, a new amusement, a new game, a new fashion, a new mood. He could never predict what would come next. And while he waited for the next surprise, his willpower was temporarily suspended. No man was ever more of a slave to a woman than the Louis. When you change direction, make the direction truly new. And I had highlighted another one, but this is already taken forever. So it's going to have to be another video. If you guys like this video, leave a comment down below. And what is this one called? Hold on. Use the demonic power of words to sow confusion. The trick to making them listen is to say what they want to hear. Okay? So if you guys want me to continue this series and continue breaking down this book, giving you guys the free game to use in your lives and your relationships, then let me know down below by saying part 2. And listen, send me a DM on Instagram at Optimal Man Coaching. I don't care who you are. Whatever problem you have, whether it's dating, confidence, mindset, whatever it is, shoot me a DM. Let's talk about it. Guys, I'm out of here. Peace out.